Let's start our analysis in Boulder, Colorado, at the Torrances' apartment. Wendy and Danny eating lunch, the most American lunch of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. This simple, comforting food highlights the family's humble lifestyle. But look closer. Is the scene truly lunch? A viewer pointed out that Danny is watching a Roadrunner cartoon, which typically aired during Saturday morning programming. This raises the question, is it actually breakfast? Kubrick's choice to leave this ambiguous adds a layer of everyday realism while keeping us slightly off balance. Also, the Roadrunner cartoon implies this is a Saturday morning, meaning Jack's interview at the Overlook was on a Saturday?
What are we having? Just your standard regular lunch, I guess. Milk? PB&J with the crusts cut off. Well, Brian, this is a very nutritious lunch.
It's important to include that we never see the Roadrunner cartoon on the TV. We just hear it playing in the background. I believe Stanley included the Roadrunner cartoon in two specific parts of the Shining movie. Here in the Boulder apartment during the lunch scene, where Danny, or Tony, is explaining to Wendy he does not want to go to the Overlook. And later on, at the Overlook, when Wendy and Danny are eating what I thought was lunch, I thought it was soup, at the Overlook Hotel, during the time when Wendy was trying to figure out how to get Jack to help her get help for Danny and his catatonic episode.
What are we having? Just your standard regular lunch, I guess. Milk? Soup.
Additionally, I believe Danny is actually learning how to move like a roadrunner. The roadrunner's ability to move swiftly and unpredictably, leaving its predator confused, mirrors Danny's own strategy to escape Jack in the hedge maze later in the film. Just as the roadrunner's special feet make it hard to track its movements, Danny's clever steps in the snow help him outsmart his father. This transformation is mirrored in their clothing choices. In Boulder, Danny and Wendy are dressed in blue, symbolizing their roles as prey, passive, and vulnerable. At the Overlook, however, they transform into wearing brown, a more earthy, grounded color that reflects their evolution into predators as they fight back against Jack and the Overlook Hotel. Have you ever noticed Wendy's hair seems to move unnaturally, as if stirred by an invisible force? Could this be a subtle hint at the supernatural forces already influencing the Torrances, even before they step foot into the Overlook? Or is it simply a technical oversight, like a gust from a hidden fan or heat rising from an oven? Either way, it's an airy touch that primes us for the unsettling journey ahead. Another discovery I made is the maze itself. If you look at the center of the maze, it appears that there are three fours, 444, and three fours are a symbol of angels' guidance. So I wonder if Kubrick put this in The Shining as a way that the maze was actually helping Danny. Another oddity I found is the stove. Check it out. The controls are on the bottom, right next to the floor. What is that all about? Well, after some research, I discovered that these types of stoves were popular in the United States only between 1920 and 1960s. They stopped making them in 1960s due to safety reasons. I wondered if Kubrick put a 20-year-old stove in the movie as a nod to the financial issues that the Torrances were having. What's with all the books? The Torrance apartment in Boulder is just loaded with books. What is Kubrick trying to tell us? I believe he's trying to say that Wendy escapes all of her issues into an imaginary land with books. You notice that she doesn't read ever when they go to the Overlook. She can't. She has to accept reality and save her son and herself from her demented husband and that awful hotel. Tom and Jerry mug. Do you remember that Tom and Jerry used to be a drink in the 50s? Had nothing to do with the cartoon, but it was a popular drink in the 50s. I wonder why Wendy is drinking her coffee out of a Tom and Jerry mug. What do you think? Everyone says Kubrick doesn't add anything unless he has a reason to. So, what was his reason behind adding the Tom and Jerry mug? Also, can you see how having the mug on the very edge of the counter when Wendy is doing dishes, how that is actually aggravating? There are so many things in The Shining that were included just to put us on the edge of our seat. Another example is when Danny sees the twins. All the cupboards are open. That just drives me crazy. I just want to go and push the cupboards closed and get the cup away from the edge of the counter. Anybody else with me? Don't drink the Kool-Aid. What is Stanley Kubrick trying to tell us with all of the Kool-Aid examples in the Boulder apartment? I feel like Stanley is yelling, "Look out, Wendy! Don't drink the Kool-Aid!" Or look out! Also note the timing of the Kool-Aid appearance. Jack is just about ready to call Wendy to tell her that he did indeed receive the job of the Overlook caretaker for 1975 winter season. And Danny is just about ready to collapse due to the visions he is seeing from the Overlook Hotel. You see the first Kool-Aid with the orange arrow. That photo is taken when Wendy locked up Jack in the pantry. The second one you see is when Mr. Hallman, or Scatman Crothers, the famous Scatman Crothers, is giving Wendy and Danny the tour of the pantry. You see 3 Kool-Aid canisters just above his head. The white arrow shows that when Jack is speaking to Grady, a Kool-Aid is visible. The black arrow indicates 3 more Kool-Aids, and this occurs when Wendy is pulling Jack into the pantry. 1978. Johnstown, mass murder. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't follow a cult blindly. Over 900 people lost their lives in this tragedy. Don't. I believe the Kool-Aid was intentionally placed at these certain times of the movie in order to be yelling to Wendy, don't follow blindly. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't trust blindly. We should all take note of that. I also believe that Stanley changed the beetle bug from red to yellow due to Ted Bundy. It's a warning for us. Don't fall for the trickster. Wendy reading The Catcher in the Rye in The Shining is so creepy because of the eerie connection between the book John Lennon and John Lennon's tragic death. John Lennon was assassinated on December 8th, 1980, by a person who was obsessed with the book Catcher in the Rye. Apparently, John Lennon had given this person, his last name is Chapman, an autograph earlier that day, and then Chapman shot John Lennon when he was coming home, and the doorman went up to the murderer and said, "Do you know what you just did?" And he was leaning against a gate, and he was reading The Catcher in the Rye, and he just replied, "Yeah, I just killed John Lennon." What a jerk. Apparently, this did happen, December 8th of 1980, and let's not forget that The Shining was released in the United States on May 23rd, 1980. Obviously, Kubrick could not have foreshadowed this. It's just a very tragic coincidence. Another connection John Lennon has to The Shining is that his song with the lyrics, "We All Shine On," that is what inspired Stephen King to title his novel The Shining. As a Colorado native, I'm extremely grateful for Kubrick and how he put in little details like the Coors ashtray. Those were everywhere in the 70s. Coors is a brewery in Golden, Colorado, and wow, very nostalgic. Notice Wendy is smoking Virginia Slim cigarettes. Their slogan was, "You sure come a long way, baby." Well, look at the length of the ash. Do you think that was a joke? I do. Last but not least, in my analysis, I believe that Stanley was telling us the doctor is a quack, meaning the doctor is a not a very good doctor. She let Danny slip through her hands. She could have saved him from going to the Overlook. She should have known that he was an abused child. She should have done something. She could have done something, but she didn't. So she was a quack. I believe the moving of the duck from the bathtub with the shadow in it to Danny's room is a signal that the doctor was a quack. Now, you may say, well, this is the 1970s, and child abuse wasn't looked at as it is now. And I say to you, I grew up a hop, skip, and a jump away from Boulder, Colorado. At the age of 6, which was 1975. I was in an accident. I was hurt. I fell and got very badly hurt. It was a complete accident. My parents rushed me to the emergency room, and we were all separated, and we were asked to tell the story, and it all lined up. But if it wouldn't have lined up, they were going to go and ask our neighbors and do a full investigation. What I'm trying to say is that I wouldn't have fallen through the cracks. If I would have been an abused child, the system would have worked for me. The system failed Danny. The doctor didn't investigate any further. His father was abusive to him, pulled his arm out of place, and he's suffering issues where he can't handle reality, so he goes to sleep. I mean, this is serious stuff that she could and should have taken more seriously. I believe that's what Kubrick was trying to say by moving the duck. Notice how the Goofy moves up and down? Also, it's pretty troubling to see that Wendy and Goofy are dressed exactly the same. In closing, I would like to say rest in peace, Shelley Duvall. You were a great Wendy. Thank you for listening to my analysis on the Shining Boulder apartment. Please like, subscribe, don't forget to ring that bell, and share if you found this informative. Thanks again. Have a great day, and don't forget to shine on. Colorado Kelly.